Donald Trump, I want to say this because a lot of people accuse this man of being a racist. And I just want to say that I met President Donald Trump working on criminal justice reform. I, too, was one of the ones that said, no, I don't want to go talk to that man. I don't know him. He hates black people. Well, that's what they said. And so they said, well, Angela, he's working on criminal justice reform. You have a story. Many of you may or may not know that I served time in a Georgia state prison. And while I was serving time in that prison, I was pregnant. And when it was time for me to deliver my baby, I was transported to a hospital here in Georgia by a police officer, and I was chained to a bed, and I was forced to give birth to my baby with a sheriff watching for a nonviolent crime. Also separated from my family for a nonviolent crime. But you know, the Democrats said we only supposed to fight for the family separation at the border. They forgot all about the family separation in the border. They want Trump to apologize for the CP5, but they ain't demanded that Joe Biden apologize for the 94 crime bill. But that's something else. I had a story. They told me that this man was a racist, but I had a story, and I knew that if I could use my story to convince this man that there was a need to reform our criminal justice system, then I would do that. I wasn't going to be worried about emotions. I wasn't going to be worried about the media. I wasn't going to worry about the naysayers. I was going to go in with my story and see if I could make a difference. I found myself sitting in front of President Trump in the Oval Office, and I shared my story. This is the man that they told me was a racist. I don't know. I'm scared to death. Is he going to hang me? I don't know. Is he going to call the KKK the way that the media has portrayed it? I'm in a danger zone. Just so happened that he heard my story. Not only did he pass the First Step Act, but he also made it illegal for them to chain women to the bed during their childbirth. This white man that they told me was a racist, they told me he hated black people. So not only did he just sign one of the most historic forms of criminal justice reform legislation to ever hit this nation, overturning the 94 crime bill that massively incarcerated black America, freeing nearly 20,000 people to this day. The First Step Act. I sat in the Oval Office with a lot of criminal justice reform advocates. I saw Kim Kardashian on the front page taking her pictures. I saw Alice Johnson. I saw Louis Reed. I saw Van Jones. I saw Jessica Jackson. I saw, what's her name? Vivica Fox. I saw Isaiah Washington. But I don't see any of them here today. A lot of people want to take a lot of credit for being criminal justice reform experts, criminal justice reform advocates, but to tell the truth, you didn't free nobody. Trump did. Kim Kardashian had the nerve to put up a tweet to say free Gunna. Gunna is a YSL rapper tied to the Young Thug case, charged with RICO, the same DA, the same charges. You put up a tweet and say free a known gangster in Atlanta, Georgia, but you won't put up a tweet and say free President Trump. And the only reason you getting any credit for freeing anybody is because President Donald J. Trump signed the papers. As a criminal justice reform advocate, somebody that's grateful to President Donald Trump for giving me a second chance, giving me an opportunity to run for Congress by clearing my record. Somebody who was completely oblivious to the corruption that happens in Atlanta, Georgia. I just wanted to do something for my community. I refuse to be silent. Not only will I stand for Atlanta, Georgia, not only will I stand for America, not only will I stand for the babies being aborted in the womb, not only will I stand for the mothers that choose life, I'm also going to stand with President Donald Trump.
That woman spoke of courage. That's why I played that. There's a second reason, because she's a black woman, and I feel it is incumbent upon myself to speak continually to black people everywhere, to let them know, stop Stop listening to the BS that the Democrats are saying. It's absolutely BS. And eventually, someone needs to slap you upside the head and make you realize you're being lied to, gaslit, brainwashed. None of it is true. Absolutely none of it is true. If you don't wake up, and this goes for both black, Hispanic, and white people, if you don't wake up very, very soon, the country that you know now will no longer be. It's going to be that simple. At this point, Kamala Harris is making basically no bones about it. Her intent is to basically make this country a Stalinist, Marxist nightmare. Straight on communism. And if people say, well, Barry, that's false information. No. Putting price controls and doing all the stuff she's talking about and doing the equity with, it all got to be in the same place. That is the tenet, the basic foundation of socialism and communism. Wake up. I don't understand how people are thinking this is so cool. She's the first somewhat black woman who might be a president. This is how it starts. Remember the line in Jurassic Park where Jeff Goldblum is taking people through the park and they're like, oh, look at it, it's so great. It's so... And then what does he say in that line? He goes, that's how it starts. It starts with ooh, ah, and it ends with screaming and running. It ends with food lines. It ends with you not knowing how to feed your family. It ends with you not knowing what you're going to be able to do, when you can do it, and unless you're told how to do it. Donald Trump is fighting. If you saw my video earlier, they're doing everything they possibly can to stop this man. And I've never believed more what he said than I do today. When he said, I'm just in their way, what they really want is you, that is absolutely true. They got to remove him because they're coming for you and your kids. And they're going to make sure you're put in place. God help us if people don't just swarm the precincts and vote him into office. God help us. I cannot understand rhinos. I can't understand how anybody thinks there's an alternative. There's an old saying, you can vote your way into socialism and communism, but you will not vote your way out of it. It will be hell to pay here. For some reason, people don't understand it. Hey, it's football season. Games are starting. The Dolphins are playing. All my fun teams are playing. It's going to be a great fall. That's what they want you looking at, that bread and circuses crap. I love football. But I also understand I won't be seeing or going to any football games probably if they get their way. If you can't eat, they own you. They absolutely own you if you can't eat. And so what do we got coming up? So tonight, I'm pretty sure, because I can see on the screen what Donald Trump has set up. Let me see if I can just show you guys in the background so you can see it yourself. And I can cut the volume so I don't get in trouble with anything. Hold on. What happened to my feed here? Where is the feed? I got something here. And hold on. I've got to redo the feed here for some reason. Glad it happened now. But in any event, what he's got on display out here is a bunch of food. And so what that tells me is he's going to take this food and he's going to probably compare the prices for people, what you used to pay and what you're paying now. That's probably what he's going to be doing. And while he's doing it, let me just show you. Okay, here.
Know that President Trump's team.
This is RSBN. You can see he's got groceries all on display back there. And they're going to be showing this stuff so that everybody can see what the prices they're paying now versus what they were paying when Trump was president. And he's going to put all this stuff on display, and everybody is going to be able to see it.
As well, you've noticed that
he's going to be able to show the distance the contrast between what Kamala is doing and what he's doing. That's what it's going to be. And guarantee you there is a large contrast for this stuff. All right, so let's take some comments. Oh, before I go to comments, let me see. We got about 15 minutes by normal time. We're not on Donald Trump time, so I'm not really sure if he's going to be on time, but let's continue. News came out today. I'm going to cover these two new things before we get to this. We've got this. We've got that the debates. President Trump challenged Kamala to 3 debates. She only accepted 2. J.D. Vance challenged Timothy Waltz to 2 debates. He only accepted 1. So just so everyone is aware, which campaign in this race is actually the one that's too afraid to debate. They want as less public appearances as possible. Public appearances that they can't script. Let me put it that way. And then I know Trump says some words at his rallies when he talks about, Crooked Joe and Kooky Kamala and stuff. But in regards to this press release, Kamala Harris's team put out a press release, and it's just insane. And I wrote, somebody please tell me that this isn't real. The irony here is jaw-dropping. That and the clear misrepresentations to a very dumb Democrat audience. Remember my video a couple days ago? I go, are Democrats stupid? Well, everything I see Kamala Harris doing just leads me to go, yeah, they're pretty stupid. So let's read this together if we can here. This went out August 15th, today, 2024. Now understand what a press release is. A press release is information that you want to get out to all the different news outlets so they can basically have the talking points, what you want to be covered. In the time before Kamala Harris, people would do professional press releases so that the press would have accurate data. Not so with this campaign. So, starts off in the headline. Today, Donald Trump to ramble incoherently and spread dangerous lies in public, but at a different home. See, if I was in the press and I needed to gather this, I would throw it away right there. That's just stupid. Absolutely stupid. Let's continue. Today at 4:30 p.m., Donald J. Trump, loser of the 2020 election by 7 million votes, will hold another public meltdown in Bedminster, New Jersey. Who wrote this? A high schooler? You got some interns that are still in junior high? Come on, let us know. Venue, not a battleground state. Okay, if that matters. Preview, not so fresh off, which is horrible English, the National Association of Black Journalists, Florida, and Twitter glitches. He spoke to 1 billion people, you morons. 1 billion. There was no glitch during the interview. The glitch was beforehand because of DDoS attack. But they think for somehow that the interview was glitchy. Okay, Donald Trump intends to deliver another self-obsessed rant full of his own personal grievances to distract from his toxic Project 2025 agenda. No matter how many times this has been, quote, debunked, all they can do is come back to the same old lie. And obviously, the people on their side keep ingesting the same old lie. Yes, please, give me some more. Please, sir. Because they just suck it down. Unpopular running mate, really? J.D. Vance is unpopular? An increasing detachment from the reality of the voters who will decide this election. Okay? These remarks will not be artificial intelligence, but they certainly will lack intelligence. I didn't write it. Banning baby disposal, raising cost on families, confusing basic facts, cutting Social Security and Medicare, blocking border security, and being publicly unstable, unfit, and unwell will not help his struggling campaign for president. Tune in for the same old thing. Hey, if you don't want to watch, don't watch. Why are you putting out a press release telling other people to watch? So in this one little press statement, you out there mentioned Project 2025 yet again. You mentioned that he wants to ban baby disposal. Not true. You say that he wants to cut Social Security and Medicare. Nope, just the opposite. Said he wants to cut taxes on Social Security. He blocked border security. Nope, not true. And being publicly unstable, unfit, and unwell. Who does this work on? I just wonder, who looks at this and says, yeah, that describes Donald Trump. God help us. If people are falling for this stuff, there is nothing that we can do to fix it. Just basically ignore them at this point. I'm sure there's a few trolls in here today who have decided they've come upon my channel and decided to infest us. Because you can't do it on your own channel because she doesn't say anything. She doesn't do anything. And all you have is lies. So you hate the fact that people start talking and having actual discussions. Stuff that they can go back and research and find out that Kamala Harris is full of crap. Drives me nuts. In other news, some of you may like this. I actually liked it. Corey Lewandowski was brought back into the fold. Corey Lewandowski, you guys may remember, was a campaign manager back in 2016. I've been with President Donald Trump since day one, worked for him in 2016 and 2020, and I'm excited to be back on a campaign team to help deliver victory in 2024. 81 days left, let Trump be Trump. That is his signature statement. Now we're going to have a guy, not these rhinos. You can see what's going to be happening over the next 88 days is Trump is, you watch, by bringing in Corey Lewandowski, he's putting the band back together. He is putting back together the people who got him elected in 2016, who weren't there in 2020 when all the rhinos were trying to get their piece of the pie and different things. And now he's going to run it his way. His way. I can't wait till Steve Bannon gets out of jail. I'm pretty sure Peter Navarro is going to be brought back in. The people that he can trust are the people he wants around him. Then I saw a statement from Candace Owens where she said, this is great news, let Trump be Trump. Nick Sorter, who is Nick Sorter? Nick Sorter, he works with Tucker, okay. And he said, this is huge news. Corey was a key reason why Trump trounced Hillary in 2016 and doesn't put up with any rhino BS. His primary strategy, let Trump be Trump. Did I not show that? No, I didn't. There it is. Okay, let Trump be Trump. Corey was a key reason why Trump trounced Hillary in 2016. I'm so pumped for this LFG. Let's effing go. Which, of course, caused the people on the dementia side of the aisle to go friggin' nuts. Oh, Corey Lewandowski, well, you know, he abused a woman. Okay, it's always about abusing a woman. Always about abusing a woman. Always about somebody did something. Hold on. Stop. Time out. Somebody posted a picture of J.D. Vance in high school having fun with 3 or 4 girls, making fun in a boy's bathroom in high school. Back when he was, 15 and 16. What is wrong with these people? Is fun no longer allowed? I don't think so. I don't think at this point fun is allowed at all. Sebastian Gorka, who also was a part of things back then, says, breaking, enough with the rhinos. President Donald Trump is bringing Lewandowski back into his campaign. Mission, let Trump be Trump. Guys at the quartering said, just in, the Trump campaign has brought back Corey Lewandowski. Corey was a key reason Trump destroyed Hillary in 2016. His primary strategy, let Trump be Trump. Savage Trump is back, which probably means he's going to come back on Twitter in a huge way and really take over the narrative and basically do the things that Trump does. No more nice guy. I hope it starts today at this press conference. Put these people on defense right now. And then Wendy Patterson said, I think he did a great job for Trump, and I've never, not once, questioned his loyalty. That's important because a lot of these people don't believe in loyalty whatsoever. They think loyalty is a bad word. They think loyalty means some sort of, I don't know, because they're not loyal, because we just saw what Kamala did to Dementia Joe. We've seen what the entire Democrat Party got on board and did to Dementia Joe. They don't understand loyalty. They think that to be a bad thing. Of course you want loyalty. Of course you want to surround yourself, not with yes men, but people you trust are going to give you the right opinion. I can speak of that, trying to lose some weight, get in the gym, pumping up some things. I don't want somebody to say, hey, you're doing great. Hey, you can go ahead and eat what you want. No, I want to sit across from the table when somebody goes, hey, you're doing great. You probably shouldn't eat that, man. Really? No, don't even order it. Really? I'm only looking out for your best interests. But I like the muffins. I like the blueberry muffins. Nope. Get the egg whites. What about toast? We'll get you a piece of wheat toast with no butter. Those are people you want around you. You don't want people to go, that looks great. Go ahead and take that. Yeah, you rock, buddy. Eat that blueberry muffin full of sugar. You're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Eat whatever you want. Don't eat egg whites. Pile on the bacon. You don't want those people around you. You want people who are going to look out for your best interest and say, I need you to be at your top, your best performance. Corey Lewandowski is going to do that for Trump. It's going to piss a lot of people off, a lot of rhinos, because you know what's coming. You know what's coming. Of course, the left's going to freak out, but now we're going to have a little bit of an internal freak out on this side of the aisle. I've heard some rumblings. Dan Bongino's been talking about Kellyanne Conway. I'm like, oh my God, is that true? Did Kellyanne Conway sell out America and decide she's going to go work with the Ukrainians? And now basically trash J.D. Vance because, he's so anti-giving money to that guy? Is that really true? Man, that's scary. That's scary. So we got about a couple of minutes. He hasn't come on stage. What do you guys say? Lewandowski is a beast. Yeah, I think he's going to do, yeah. Just say hell no to communism. Oh, by the way, hopefully he won't go too long, but 7 o'clock p.m., I'm going to be talking about the policy that Kamala decides she wanted to go. It's full-on Castro at this point. No to Kelly. People are saying no to Kelly. Oh, wow. It's true, huh? Have you guys looked that up? It is true. Whew, wow. Chris W. I love this. I love pissed off rhinos. God. Real bacon muffins and nobody will get hurt. Oh, man, that's crazy. We need a hell of a press secretary, too. I don't think he's going to have any problems finding somebody good like that. Love this one here. Let the mean tweets begin again. Make tweets great again. Can't wait. Can't wait myself. Do it. Unbelievable here. Vote no for communism. You know what's funny? That we even have to say that there are enough stupid people out there who don't understand what communism is. You'll see tonight, there's people actually out there going, yeah, this sounds great. Stick it to the big corporations. And I'm thinking to myself, did you sleep through history in school or they just didn't teach it to you? I know that the education system at this point is completely broken. But did they skip over, that entire period of time where people were in bread lines? You want to go back and read up on that? Or are you just going to want to look stupid on Twitter, X, by talking about, yeah, this is great, stick it to the corporation. Let me give you a hint. This might be a tough one for if there's any lefties in here. You will never be able to stick it to the corporation. Just understand that. Being in business, and I'm sure many of you are in business, you will never stick it to the corporation. The corporation is the house. The corporation will always win. You are going to lose. When you decide you want to go to the store and just pick up something, and all of a sudden it's not there. Because if I'm a grocer, and I think this was Trump is going to talk about today. If I'm a grocer, and let's say, hey, listen, I'm gonna sell you guys this pretzel, but now you're telling me I can't sell this pretzel for more than $1.25, no matter what. That's it. You're banned from raising the prices. Guess what's gonna happen? I'm not selling you the cheap pretzel. I'm just not selling pretzels ever again. Take them off the shelf. Can't make any money on it. All right, Kamala, what do you got next? Well, you can't charge more than $2.50 for Colgate toothpaste. Hey, Colgate, yeah, come get your shit. No, yeah, all of it. You are not going to make the corporation change. If there's no profit in it, it won't get sold. If you really think you're going to make corporations change the way business has been run forever in America, you are insane in the membrane. That was a song, pretty good song. It ain't happening. I don't know if you guys saw today, but there was a huge emergency stockholders call with Subway. Subway's in big, deep trouble. Big franchise, one of the biggest franchises in the world, not just America, in the world. Made a ton of money on their lost leaders because they used to bring people in for the $5 footlong. Now all of a sudden the $5 footlong costs $12. And I'm looking on the screen. Looks like he may be coming to the podium. See a guy opening the door? Not yet. Let me go ahead and switch this so you guys... nothing yet. So they can't sell the footlongs anymore because they're $12. And they're like, well, what do we do? Well, they have to go out of business. Can you imagine one of the biggest fast food chains in the world having to shut their doors because they can no longer afford to keep the doors open? You got the same thing rumbling in other franchises with Chipotle and Starbucks. And people are like, what is she talking about? So if it costs me X number of dollars right now to get coffee beans, and you tell me that coffee beans go up by 20 or 30%, well, you know what normally would happen? I would have to raise the cost of the coffee up 20 or 30%. Now you're saying, if that goes up, nope, you can't charge more than $5 for the super grande mocha latte. Well, I can't make any money on it. That's a loss. It's costing me $6 to pour it. Then I got to keep the lights on, then I got to pay people. I should save this for 7. Because we're going to talk about that then. Even the Wawa Hoagie Fest stinks right now. Absolutely. But I'm looking at all the different things he's got up here. I'm pretty... oh, my God. Somebody said that Kamala supports the footlong. Oh, that was a good one. Sometimes you guys got some really good ones. Really good ones. I stopped eating Subway when Jared was found out to be a child diddler. Yeah, good one. Exactly. Democrat media astroturfing us. Yeah, absolutely. I don't have to look it up, Barry. I remember. Okay, I remember when things were rationed: sugar, coffee, tire, gas. I have the pleasure, and I do call it the pleasure, of living in South Florida. And one of the things I have the pleasure of is knowing a lot of people who came here from other countries, and a lot of them came from oppressed, dictatorial-led countries. Many Haitians. Many Cubans. If anybody wants a lesson on what's going on and what she's doing, all you have to do is just talk to some people. You may not have the ability to talk to some of these people that came from these different countries, but ask them, how did the dinosaur park start? Oh, it was great. We had great, it was cigars and everything was fine down here in Cuba. And then all of a sudden, Castro came in and now we can't even get cars to drive. They just opened the door for Trump and they propped it open at the country club. Nothing yet. Ask them, how was life? You ever talk to any professionals from Cuba? Okay, the Secret Service is walking out, so let me go ahead and cut to this screen. And let's see what's going on. Hopefully there's not any music playing. VP is chicken for not answering any questions. Worse than chicken. She's lying to the American people. Let's see what's going on.
And if you want to follow me, I hope you will.
Okay, so they're still just showing the door, waiting for Mr. Trump to walk out. Hey, Kamala, I'm hungry. Bryce's Kamala wants. I'm telling you, she's going to have a riot on her hands. She's going to have a riot on her hands. Thank you, Ima. 1 second. I got to do something with my dog here. Got to let him out. Midas, come here. You want it out. I'm back. I didn't go anywhere. Just had to let the dog out. Yes, Castro. Yeah, imagine that. You guys need to understand it. There are stories and stories and stories of people down here who will tell you all about that. Who will tell you how Castro basically confiscated all the real property from Cubans. Same as Biden wanted to do with Trump. He wants to it's what's that saying? If you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. All these little, I was shutting the door. What the hell are they doing? All these little Bidenites and Kamalanites that are running around don't know history. They're out there, yeah, these Harry Sissons of the world. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Do you not understand that this is basically the door opening for communism? And what that means. By the way, Harry, I hate to tell you, but people who run those kind of countries don't like people like you. Can I just leave it at that? Can I just be honest and just call it that way? Okay, just let you know. Your bank account that's why they wanted to go to the central bank digital currency. That's why they wanted to go there, because they knew if they did this and they had central bank digital currency, you're completely screwed. Now we have absolute control of your money. Don't do it. Don't do it. Who let the dog out? I just had to do it. I had to let him out. He had to run. I don't know what he wanted, but he just started. Most of the time when I'm on, he sits right here next to me, just curls up next to my feet. Little Chihuahua, about 10, 12 pounds. Actually, he's fat. Maybe like 14 pounds. Our farms are closing thanks to... This was an intentional effort that they put together. This wasn't the first part. This is what we're getting closer to is the end game. And the last two pieces, or last three pieces, are to get Trump out the way, changes to central bank digital currency, and then you're screwed. You are absolutely screwed. And the only thing I have not been able to figure out, maybe some of you guys can have some enlightenment. And I've searched, and I've tried to figure out, and I just don't know the answer to this. Is all of these congressional members and Senate members, are they bamboozled? Do they think that they will still be able to lead the lives that they live once this thing takes place? God forbid if it happens. Don't they understand? This is like letting loose a buzzsaw. It doesn't stop just with certain people. You're in this country. You're not safe in terms for them reaching out to you. There is a very... Look who's around Castro. It's a very tight-knit group of people. The rest, you're done. So I don't understand how all these senators and congressmen talk and posture and talk crap, and the rhinos on the right side, I can't possibly vote for somebody like Trump. What do you think's going to happen? You don't get a get out of jail free card. They're coming for you too. and I think to myself, how do people not understand this? Do they not know their history? Take a visit to Cuba or go to Haiti. Ask them how they lived at one time. Did you guys have government and parliament and senators and, all kinds of different people here? Yeah. Did they get to keep their money? The professionals, the rich, did they get... No, they were the first to go. No, what? Yeah, they were the first to go. The military came in and just took their shit. If they didn't like it, shot them in the head. What? So you tell me, how do they think they are going to be safe? And all their assets are going to be safe. Mitch McConnell, tell us, what makes you think you're going to be okay? doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. Whatever backdoor deals that you basically, struck with people, that ain't where it's at. Because whoever is in control, we know it's not Dementia Joe. We know it's not Kamala Harris. It won't be Kamala Harris. There ain't a chance in hell that the puppeteers are going to let Kamala Harris do anything. So those people who are basically in control, what makes you think they're going to let you stay where you're staying? Yeah, Venezuela. Absolutely. Iran. Iraq. What did Saddam Hussein do? Put all the women in hijabs and went and rounded up all the opposition and shot them in the head. What election? They're all dead. Don't need you. You just disagreed with me. So I just sent the secret police over to your head and they popped you. Oh, you want to call an attorney? Call him so I know who he is so I can pop him in the head too. And here comes the man right now. Okay, let's get to this. Let me make sure the volume is up. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Can everybody hear? Let me know.
Nice to see you. We have a lot of interesting things to talk about, and we have some very specific things. So we'll take our time. We have plenty of time. I think you have plenty of time. I hope you like the weather. It's very nice. Nice place. Nice location. And I do thank you for being here. And we don't have very much heat, so I'd say it's perfect weather for this. The rain is not imminent, based on the fact that there are no clouds. So
That's
it's
not
really
me.
nice. It's really nice. And
Messing with the feet again, that's not me.
and some very substantial truths about where we stand as a country, because we're a failing nation because of the way it's been run for the last 3.5 years. We're a failing nation. People are coming into our country by the millions and millions and millions. We have no idea who they are or where they come from. But we're also a failing economy. Kamala Harris is a radical California liberal who broke the economy, broke the border, and broke the world, frankly. Very destructive to the entire world, because as we go, oftentimes the world goes. She destroys everything she touches. And if she wins, your finances and your country will never recover. You're never going to recover. A radical left person wants to. Kamala Harris is a radical California liberal who broke the economy, broke the border, and broke the world, frankly. Very destructive to the entire world, because as we go, oftentimes the world goes. She destroys everything she touches. And if she wins, your finances and your country will never recover. You're never going to recover. A radical left person wants to put price controls all over the place, which will end up driving up your prices, not down your prices. Harris has just declared that tackling inflation will be a day one priority for her. It's going to be day one. But day one, really, for Kamala was 3.5 years ago. Where has she been? And why hasn't she done it? Why hasn't she done it? I hear her complaining all the time. She was the border czar, but she didn't do anything. It's the worst.
I don't know what's wrong with their microphone feed, but it's coming from the Trump microphone, because this is a different station and it's happening again.
This to some of our allies, some of our great allies. You know who I'm talking about? Here is the record of economic calamity that Kamala is desperate for voters to ignore. She cast the tie-breaking votes that caused record inflation. She cast the votes. She's trying to blame Biden, as you know. So it was Biden, but I'm going to do a better job. But it was her. And if she wants to do a better job, she's still got 5 months left, right? But she can't do a better job because she doesn't know how to. And she's of a place in she wouldn't know what a better job is. Going to destroy our country. And as a result of Kamala's inflation price hikes, they've cost a typical household a total of $28,000. These are numbers coming from government. They're not coming from me. $28,000 she's cost a typical household. Kamala's inflation nightmare continues to cost the average American family $1,100 every single month. $1,100, again, government numbers. You're paying $148 more a month on food. It's every month. Average family, because Kamala and her ideas, and Joe Biden too, I mention him, but he's sort of gonzo. It all started with the debate. I should have been a little bit easy. Somebody said, your debate performance was horrible. I said, why? Because you forced him out of government. But I believe she'll be just as bad. I believe she's maybe in many ways going to be worse, because he wasn't really a radical left. But she is. She's real. He wasn't real. So I think she's going to be, in many ways, easier to beat than Joe Biden. What they did to him was disgraceful, by the way. And it really is a threat to democracy. It was a coup by people that wanted him out. And they didn't do not the way they're supposed to do it. $129 more on energy.
That's not me, people.
$1 more. This is all per month on rent. So you have that, $148, $129, $241, and then many other increases. You add it all up, it's thousands and thousands of dollars that she and he have cost people. The cost of a typical monthly mortgage has doubled since I left office, and that number was about 3 months old from government, and now it's tripled. We had mortgage rates at around 2%, close to 2%, and they're now at 10%, and you can't get a mortgage. So that means it's a lot higher than 10%. I guess it is whenever they want to give over the money, and that's a lot more than 10%. So when you think about double, they've actually quadrupled or more than that. Think of that, quadrupled, which really kills the American dream for young people. Young people are being devastated by what they've done to our country.
I've tried at this point three different feeds, and it keeps happening.
Bread is up 24%, butter is up 37%, baby formula is up 30%, flour is up 38%, and eggs are up 46%, and many items are up at much higher rates than that. Now Kamala is reportedly proposing communist price controls. She wants price controls. And if they worked, I'd go along with it too, but they don't work. They actually have the exact opposite impact and effect. But it leads to food shortages, rationing, hunger, government, dramatically more inflation. Their inflation reduction is a disaster. It's what caused the inflation. Their Inflation Reduction Act. That means it's a lot higher than 10%. I guess it is whenever they want to give over the money, and that's a lot more than 10%. So when you think about double, they've actually quadrupled or more than that. Think of that, quadrupled, which really kills the American dream for young people. Young people are being devastated by what they've done to our country. Grocery prices have skyrocketed. Cereals are up 26%. Bread is up 24%. Butter is up 37%. Baby formula is up 30%. Flour is up 38%. And eggs are up 46%. And many items are up at much higher rates than that. Now Kamala is reportedly proposing communist price controls. She wants price controls. And if they worked, I'd go along with it too, but they don't work. They actually have the exact opposite impact and effect. But it leads to food shortages, rationing, hunger, dramatically more inflation. Their Inflation 5%, and they just announced it's going to be substantially higher than that within the next week. They expect big increases in car insurance. It's out of control, and insurance.
Just so you know, I've tried 4 different feeds. It's happening on all of them, so it's his mic.
They're up 32%. Gasoline prices are up 50% and going higher. Meanwhile, real incomes are down by over $2,000 a year. So the incomes for people are down $2,000 on average a year, government numbers. The typical American has seen a 4% pay cut under Kamala and Biden. Crooked Joe Biden. Credit card debt has exploded by 50% under Harris to a record high. It's now at a record high. It's never been anywhere close. Since March, and by the way, people are going to have to start paying that, and it's not going to be a pretty sight for the next period of time. It could be a substantial time. Since March of 2022, the average middle-class household has lost $33,000 in wealth. How about that? $33,000. That's average. In July alone, 350,000 people were added to the unemployment rolls. It's a lot of people. 350,000 people added to the unemployment rolls. And think of that. That's in 1 month. That's in July. Virtually 100% of the net job creation in the last year has gone to migrants. You know that? Most of the job creation has gone to migrants. In fact, I've heard that substantially more than beyond the number of 100%. It's a much higher number than that, but the government hasn't caught up with that yet. But virtually right now, as of the time they did this, virtually 100% of the net job creation in the last year has gone to migrants. Harris gave work permits and Social Security numbers to more than 3 million illegal immigrants to steal jobs from Americans. So think of that. And, you know, they're having a lot of problems with Social Security. I'm going to be the one to save Social Security, but they're having a lot of problems with Social Security because under their system of putting all of these people into it, it's going to blow up and fail. If she's elected, Social Security will fail. It'll be a blow up like you've never seen before. It'll be a bankruptcy of the entire system, probably the nation itself. You don't have to imagine what a Kamala Harris presidency would be because you're living through that nightmare right now, and it is a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Again, it's not me. This is, I've tried 4 different stations.
Have a crash like a 1929 crash if she gets in. You saw a gentleman yesterday who got up, one of the top analysts in the world, frankly, and said that if Trump isn't elected, he predicts, and he's predicting you have a stock market crash like 1929. He also said the only time and the only reason the stock market has gone up, even though it had some bad moments recently. But I think we'll take a substantial lead. You saw the polls come out today. We're leading in most of the polls, but you'll have a. I have a lot of friends over there. So I don't think they're reporters, however, are they? This was supposed to be for reporters. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. When I left office, I handed Kamala and crooked Joe Biden a surging economy with no inflation. The 30-year mortgage rate was around 2%. Gasoline had reached $1.87 a gallon. We actually had many months where it was lower than that, but we hit 187, which was a perfect place, an absolutely beautiful number. Real income surged by more than $4,200 a year when I was president. Harris and Biden blew it all up. And if Kamala wins the election, the worst is yet to come. You'll have a real problem in the future because people don't respect her in the world. People don't respect her in the economy. Economists are laughing. They can't even believe this is happening to our country. And she wants to change a free enterprise type country into a communist type country. That's what she knows. She's considered far more radical than Bernie Sanders. That's all you have to know. Far more radical. And she picked somebody that's far more radical than Bernie Sanders. He approved a bill recently, tampons in boys' bathrooms. He wants tampons in boys' bathrooms. It's terrible. It's terrible. But that's the person that she picked. Surprising pick to me. I was shocked. He's also got one of the worst run states. Many people are leaving the state, 6th most. And from her state, she destroyed, as the Attorney General, she destroyed California along with Gavin Newsom. And she, San Francisco, you know, was a great city 15 years ago. Now it's considered almost unlivable. You can't live there. And what they've done to that great state with the beautiful weather like this weather, they have this weather all the time. And they have the ocean, they have the sun, they have everything good. But what they've done to it is a shame, and she's going to do the same thing to our country. It was the policies. They had a recent article, and I didn't know this, but you're allowed to rob a store as long as it's not more than $950. Has everyone ever heard of that? You can rob a store, and you have these thieves going into stores with calculators calculating how much it is. Because if it's less than $950, they can rob it and not get charged. That was her that did that. Harris is campaigning on the largest tax increase in American history, including ending the Trump tax cuts, one of the largest tax cuts ever in our country's history, and working with families, a gigantic capital gains tax hike they want, and a new wealth confiscation tax. It's called wealth confiscation tax, which isn't going to make all of her supporters, you know, she's got some supporters that are wealthy people because they're stupid people, but they're wealthy people. She said that a 70 to 80% tax rate is, quote, a bold idea that should be discussed and studied. 70 to 80%. She co-sponsored legislation to abolish very popular private health insurance, which 150 Americans rely on, dumping everyone care plans anymore. And you can be a wealthy person or a middle-income person, and you want to spend on a really good plan, better than a government plan could be, far better. And you're not going to be allowed. You're all going to be thrown into a communist system. It's a communist system. You're going to be thrown into a system where everybody gets health care. You wait for your doctor like 10 months, 12 months, 11 months. You got to see some of these plans, how they work in other countries. It's disgraceful. So private health care is gone. She wants it out. Now, she could change on that, and she might change on that. She's changed on everything, but I said, why are you changing? I actually was asking somebody that knows her, why is she changing? She had these policies and ideas for years and years and years and very solid on them. All you have to do is go back and look at your tapes, which many have been discarded because they don't want, discarded by the fake news, because they don't want people to see what she said just a year ago and 2 years ago. I've never seen anything like it. Even my statement on waiters, waitresses, caddies, a lot of great people, people that drive cars, no tax on tips. All of a sudden, out of the blue, she comes out. That was months ago I said that. And she came out and she said, tax on tips. She could have at least said, you know, President Trump had some great ideas, but one of the ideas was no tax on tips. I think it would have been nice, and people would have accepted that. But she just came out like it was hers, and she never had her. In fact, just the opposite. The IRS is all set up to really go after people that make tips. And they passed legislation and signed executive orders making it really hard on waiters, waitresses, and that was very recently. That was just before I made the proposal. They were really going after people. So they're lying when they say that, you know, this is what they want to do, because their legislation, which everyone knows, and their executive orders were extremely tough. They also put 88,000 new IRS agents in that can go and harass everybody. She wants to close dozens of existing power plants, causing rollbacks of power in our country. You're going to have brownouts, blackouts, the likes of which you've never seen, and plunging millions and millions of people into poverty. That's going to put them into poverty, and they're not going to have heat. They're not going to have air conditioning. She wants to close dozens of existing power plants, so maybe she'll change that too. But she's got a lot to change. Almost everything she's ever said, she's got to change. Nobody's ever seen, and that's why we're here. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. She wants to abolish coal, oil, and natural gas, 84% of U.S. energy supply. And it's the coal and the natural gas, clean coal, I call it, and oil, natural gas that create electricity. And by the way, I'm a big fan of electricity. If we're going to go with the AI, if we're going to do that, I don't know if you know, but we need twice the amount of electricity currently supplied for everything to the entire United States of America. So to be competitive on AI, I was talking to Elon Musk. We had a great discussion the other night. I agree. And he said a big problem is getting the approvals to create all of that energy, all of that electricity, specifically electricity, and you're going to need that for other forms of modern business too. And I'll get it done, but other people aren't going to get it done. They're not going to be able to get it done. As border czar, and she was the border czar. She was, I don't know if she was proudly called border czar, but that's what Crooked Joe Biden called her. She's the border czar. Everybody said it. And then about 2 weeks ago, she didn't want to be called the border czar anymore. She said, oh, I was never the border czar. It doesn't matter. She was the person responsible for the border, and she never went there. She went to a certain location once, but I would have gone there and taken my family to dinner there. That was not a place that is going to the border. place with no problem. As border czar, she allowed 20 million people, and I believe it's higher than that. People say 13, 14, 12, 10, but now they're all up to around 12, 13, 14. They have no idea because you have millions and millions of what they call gotaways, the gotaways. Gotaways are people that pour into our country. We have no idea who they are. That's the worst of all. But she allowed at least 20 million people to invade our country, and she wants to give them all citizenship and free government health care and let them raid Medicare and Social Security, which will, again, she will destroy Medicare, she will destroy Social Security, and frankly, there's nothing she can do about it once this happens. There's nothing she can do about it. She called for abolishing ICE. These are great patriots who are tough, tougher than anybody in this audience. Some of those people, I know them over there, some of those men and a couple of the women, to be honest. They're tough as hell, but they don't want to fight MS-13. I've seen it. They go in. Long Island has had a lot. We got them out. But now they're coming back because of weak policy and because of things that she wants to do, like defund the police. You know she wants to defund the police. Now, she has since said, no, I don't want to do that anymore. The one thing I see with politicians, they always go back to where they were. She wanted to defund the police, and she wanted to abolish ICE. I was going to say, though, these ICE people are incredible patriots. They're tough as hell, and they go into a pack of MS-13 gang members, the toughest in the world, probably the toughest gangs in the world. They come from different parts of South America, and they want to come in and in Long Island, not too recently, but recently, they carved up with a knife two beautiful 16-year-old girls who were walking to school. And the reason they used a knife instead of shooting them was very simple, because it's more painful. They wanted to watch them agonize. And these are animals, and we have to get them out of our country, or we have to put them in jail because we don't want them back. Sometimes you have to put them in jail because their country doesn't want them back. They'll send them back the way they do. Just so you know, I know all of the people that we're dealing with as the heads of countries. And they're very smart. They're very streetwise. And what they're doing is they're taking all of their criminals, and they haven't brought all of them yet. They brought a lot of them, though. But they'll bring all of them. I'm shocked it's taken so long. If I were in their country, it would have gone a lot faster. I will tell you that I would have gotten them out, too. And they're bringing them into the United States. They're taking their drug dealers and their rapists, murderers, and every criminal, bringing them into the United States, and their crime rates are way down. They're bringing people from mental institutions and insane asylums into the United States, and their population for the mentally ill is way down. They're in the United States. They're dumping them in the United States. They're driving them through a border that's totally open. We stopped them. We didn't let it happen. And when I first came into office, you know the story, that President Obama at the time had no way of getting them back. And I said, I want to get all of the MS-13 in particular out of our country, bring them back to where they came from. A general said, sir, that won't be possible. Why? Because they blocked the airports, they blocked the roads, they blocked everything. You can't do it. I said, so they're making a concerted effort? Yes, sir, they're making a concerted effort. We can't do it. They put planes on the runway so we can't land the planes, sir. And the same thing with the roads. They block up the roads. So if we have buses coming in, they block up the roads. They're totally blocked, and they're terrible. It's been that way for years, sir, all the way back to Bush. It's been that way for years. And I said, well, how much do we pay them in terms of economic development and aid? Sir, we pay them $750 million. I said, that's okay. Call them immediately and tell them we're not paying them anymore. And the following morning, I got a call from the three main culprits. Sir, I'd like to speak to you because I don't understand what the problem is. I said, well, you've sent us gang members, and they send them. Remember that. They send them. They said, you send us gang members, you send us killers, and you send us drug dealers, and you send us horrible people, and when we want to bring them back to your country, you won't accept them. And that's under President Obama and all the way through. And therefore, you're in default. You are in total default of the money that we send you. And we're not going to send you the money anymore. You're not getting any of the $750 million and more. We're not giving you any. You are delinquent. You are delinquent in what you've done. And you're not getting, sir, please, can we talk? I said, yeah, we can talk. What? we would absolutely love to have MS-13 sent back to our country. We think they're wonderful people. They're not wonderful people. They're wonderful killers. But they changed their tune totally. When I said they weren't going to get the money, I don't know why these people don't do it. And the $750 million now is billions of dollars because Biden increased it very substantially. He thinks by sending them money, they're going to send fewer people into our country. How stupid is that? So they're giving them $2.5–3 billion. The 750, not only did he give it, I didn't even pay after they made the call because I said, you've treated us badly for so many years, we're not going to pay you it anyway. But now they're giving them billions of dollars, billions, much more than when I took over. It was 750. Now they're giving them billions. But they said, there must be an understanding, sir. We would love to take them back. And I said, well, you're going to get them back. And we started bringing them back by the thousands out of Long Island, out of Michigan, out of Ohio, by the thousands. And she compared ICE agents, these brave people, to the KKK. She said, the ICE people, the ICE agents, I compare them to the KKK. Well, they don't really, because, when you go into like Long Island, like Ohio, like Michigan, we had a lot of them, and you see these men, in most cases, the agents, get out of a van and walk into, they call it a pack. It's a pack, not like a political pack, slightly different, even nastier, hard to believe, right? But they would go into a pack of these killers, and all you do, I've seen it so many times, all you do is see fists and feet and hands and fighting, and 2 minutes later they stand up and they walk out, they have them by the feet, they walk them out, or they drag them out, mostly drag them out, put them in paddy wagons, and they bring them back to their country. They take them back to the country, and the country is open arms now, open arms. And it's an amazing thing. For her to say KKK is very unfair, but she doesn't know. She doesn't want to know. She's a very strong communist lean. She wants to end detention of illegal alien migrants, releasing vicious monsters into our communities to rape, maim, and murder our population. She endorsed defunding the police and no cash bail nationwide. She was the original no funder. And the only thing Kamala Harris can deliver is horrific inflation, massive crime, and the death of the American dream. She is in favor of the death of the American dream because everything she does really stops, any one of these items stops the American dream. We want our youth to go back and dream of being successful, someday being really successful and employing lots of people, and you can't get up early enough. I gave up that life for a life of politics. I gave up all of these beautiful places that I have all over the world for a life of being abused by the fake news media. And yet I would do it again. Somebody asked me the other day, would you do it again? I said, absolutely. Why would you do it? Why would you put yourself through? They go after you. They weaponize government. You have to deal with crooked judges that are after you and crooked prosecutors. And the New York court system is vicious and totally biased and, frankly, totally crooked. Why would you put yourself through? I said, because we're going to make America great again. That's what we're going to do. And it's very important. So when I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on...
So this isn't me. I've checked 4 different streams, 5 different streams. My internet connection's great. It's sorry. I just have to apologize because there's nothing I can do. I've tried. I'm going to continue trying to where he gets to the point where he starts asking people questions.
Back to it, but by that time it was too late. They lost control. But they've gone back to it, and if they win the day after the victory, they'll stop with all the drilling. But they went back to it because prices were going through the roof. They were going really bad. And that's what caused our inflation, and that's what destroyed the lives of many Americans. Going to reduce energy and electricity prices. I will, by at least half within a 12-month period. We'll be able to reduce prices between regulation and having a tremendous supply, which we have. I always say we have more liquid gold under our feet, more than any other nation anywhere in the world, including Saudi Arabia and including Russia. We're going to terminate the Green New Scam. It's called the Green New Deal. It's a scam. And rescind all unspent funds. We're going to rescind that and pay off debt. And we're going to reduce debt. We took almost $10 trillion for nonsense, for absolute nonsense. We'll do bridges, we'll do roads, we'll do things that we need, but we're not going to be spending it or wasting it stupidly and have China laugh at us. I remember when, just a short while ago, Kerry goes, hops in his private plane, flies to China to talk about the energy prices and the energy situation in China with President Xi, who I know very well. Had a very good relationship until COVID came in, but that was a fence too far. But we had a great relationship, and Kerry would go up there, and he'd leave so happy. But they don't do anything. They just talk. They said, "Oh yeah, we're going to do that. Oh, as soon as we get to it." In the meantime, they're building a coal plant every week. But now I hear it's 2 coal plants a week, and we're dying for energy. We don't have energy, and they're getting set for the AI because they're going to create so much electricity. And we're not going to be able to do it, but you'll do it if I have it, because that's an emergency. We have to be able to compete with China and other countries that are able to create new energy if they want to, and they're going to want to, and they do want to. But they're building at least 1 coal plant a week. Germany, as you know, went a little bit like us, and that was the end of Angela because their whole economy crashed. And their new government is building coal plants all over the place. They're building brand new coal plants, nuclear plants, and other things because Germany was going to fail. So why are we following these countries that tried it and failed? And they're smart countries. They tried it, they failed. Why are we doing this? Why aren't we creating great energy plants, great sources of energy, instead of playing this game with wind that is ruining everything, killing all your birds, destroying the fields, all these gorgeous fields. You got windmills all over the place, and you have birds. You want to see a bird cemetery? Just go under a windmill. You see thousands of birds dead. The bald eagle, if you kill an eagle, they put you in jail for years. And yet these windmills knock them out like nothing, and nothing happens to the people. No, it's a green scam. It's a shame. Look, I'm all for clean energy. I want clean water. I want clean air. But you can't destroy your country over it. You just can't do that. We want to stop wasteful spending and big government special interest giveaways. You have giveaways. You have some of these people that are giving. Look, they're not giving millions and millions of dollars to politicians because they like their policy. They're giving it because they made deals. They're going to take over lots of different things in our country. They're going to build windmills as an example. They're going to build big solar fields that take up half the desert. Massive solar fields, and I'm a big fan of solar, but it can't fire our plants. It's not going to fire our plants. Fire up those plants. We got to get them going, and the only thing that can do that is fossil fuel right now. And the only thing that can make electricity, which we all want, is right now fossil fuel and nuclear. And nuclear has its place, a very big place in our country, very big place. China is going with nuclear. France has been going with nuclear for many years. We want to end the Biden-Harris electrical vehicle mandate. We have to get rid of the electric vehicle mandate. And look, Elon endorsed me strongly, most powerful endorsement. He said it 3 or 4 times the other night during our little chat. But a chat that was very well listened to and attended. We know that, right? It broke every single record, I think, in history. And he's a great guy. But I told him, I said, I have one problem. I'm all for the electric car, but it's a very small percentage. I think the electric car is incredible. I think what you've done is incredible. But some people are going to want gasoline-propelled cars. They're going to want hybrids. They're going to want other types of cars. And Elon, they're going to have to do that. And he understands that fully. And I think he was amazed by this electric vehicle mandate. They want it for trucks, too. If you do it for trucks, you're not going to have any. You talk about a supply chain problem. A truck going from New York to Los Angeles, if it's electric, will have to stop 6 times for long periods of time. If you have diesel fuel, it goes all the way, and you can even come a piece of the way back before you have to reload. And with diesel, the truck gets lighter because you're using up the fuel. With the electric, it stays at a heavy weight. An electric truck is 2.5 times heavier than what we would call our traditional trucks. And a man from a company said to me, sir, I've been buying trucks. For 50 years I've been buying them, and every single year they got better and bigger and stronger and more powerful and more efficient, more fuel efficient. And now we build apartments in the truck, sir. And you would be proud to stay in those apartments. And then I say, I don't know if I would. But I know exactly what he meant. Those big, he said, it's incredible, the trucks. I said, who builds the best truck? He didn't tell me. He said, they all do. You have 4 companies, 5 companies. They all do, sir. They build great ones. He said, but for 50 years, they got better. Every year, I started off with 1 truck. I said, how many trucks do you have now? 27,000. I said, 27,000, and all big ones. He's the biggest. This is the biggest. He said, for 50 years I've been buying, and every single year they got better, more efficient, stronger. He said, if they make us buy electric trucks, we will go back 70 years because the truck is worse than the one we had 50 years ago. And he said, I won't partake in it. They want people, they want the truckers, the trucking industry to do that. One other thing, the truck is heavier and the battery is much larger than the tanks. And the battery would take up about half of the payload. Think of that. But just as importantly, the battery and all that goes into electric is much heavier. The truck it weighs 2.5 times more than a normal truck fired up by diesel. And he said, if that's the case, sir, you would have to rebuild every single bridge and road in America because the weight is so enormous. It wouldn't be able to go on the bridges and all of the different weight-bearing roads in America. I said, did you explain this to the people? I mean, you know, a 5-year-old child, if he was hearing these things, it doesn't go far. It takes too much room. You don't have any room left for anything. It's almost the whole thing would be carrying a battery. Does anybody explain this to these people? We do explain it. They know it very well. At the end of the meeting, they say, we don't care. Just start making your electric truck. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it, he said. So we're going to repeal all that. We're going to repeal Kamala's regulatory onslaught, saving households an estimated $5,000 a year at a minimum. The massive tax cuts and no tax on tips. We're going to make sure it gets done. She's not going to get it done. She didn't hear about it until I said it, and then she went out and she went and did it. And the other thing, no tax on Social Security. We're not going to have seniors who have been decimated by inflation pay tax on Social Security, and we'll get through it through growth. We have tremendous growth potential in this country, but not with these people running it, because all they're going to do is take away, and they want to take away your growth and your growth potential. Again, I say it all the time, we're a nation in decline. We're a failing nation. Right now, we're a failing nation, and we're going to soon be a great nation again. That's going to happen. Another thing we're going to do, having to do with a lot of reasons, a lot of things, and the economy in particular, we're going to seal the border. We're going to stop the invasion. We're going to send the illegal aliens back home. We're going to bring down the cost of health care and housing. We're going to make sure that Social Security is not going to be increased in terms of years where people have to wait much longer. I mean, we have an obligation to take care of these people. And just so you know, I didn't do it in 4 years. I never even thought about doing it in 4 years. And they probably don't want to do it, but they're going to have no chance. They're going to have no choice, because a lot of the people that are coming in are being signed into Medicare. They're being signed into Social Security, and it's just going to explode. And it's going to happen very fast, and it's going to be very ugly. It's not going to happen with us. We're going to open up tracts of federal land for housing construction. We desperately need housing for people who can't afford what's going on now. And when we open it up and we take off some of the restrictions and regulations, you know, in California, 50% the cost of a house is regulations. They have to adhere to regulations that bring the cost of the house up by 50%. We're going to bring back our supply chains to stop costly supply chain disruptions. We have tremendous disruptions. I have it all the time, and I think you do too. We order things, and I keep saying, well, when's it getting here? Sir, there's a supply chain disruption. And I mean, you end up getting stuff like 3 months late now. I don't know, all these geniuses over here, I think we can say that. I'm not sure that you're necessarily as much into it, but they are. And I will say that very often, we have problems with supply chains where I'm waiting for things for weeks and weeks. And I say, by the way, whatever happened to it? Supply chain, sir, it's not coming in. And it's a terrible thing. Nobody ever thought a thing like that would happen to our country. We're going to restore peace and stability all throughout the world. And you all know Viktor Orban. He's the Prime Minister of Hungary, and a very tough man. He's a good man, but he's a tough man. And they asked him, what do we need to stop all of the wars with Israel? What do we need to stop the wars in Russia and Ukraine and all the other wars that are starting? He said, when President Trump was here, we had no wars. We didn't have Russia lining up at the borders to go and attack Ukraine. We would have never had Hamas because Hamas had no money, because Iran had no money. I said to China and everybody else, if you buy from Iran, you can't do business in the United States. And I'm not looking to be bad to Iran. We're going to be friendly, I hope, with Iran. Maybe, but maybe not. But we're going to be friendly, I hope. We're going to be friendly, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. And we were all set to make sure that they don't have a nuclear weapon, because once they do, it's a whole different world. It's a whole different negotiation. But Viktor Orban said, if you put Trump in, nothing's going to happen. Everyone's going to be peaceful, because they were afraid of Trump. Now, I don't like saying that I said that. I would say maybe they respected Trump. But he said they were afraid of Trump. They didn't know where he was coming from, and they were really afraid of him. They're not afraid of these people. And being afraid isn't so bad, but I would say more importantly, they respected me. But he didn't use that word. He said they were afraid of Trump. And we would have not had any problems with China and Taiwan. We wouldn't have had any problems with Ukraine and Russia. We wouldn't have any problems with anything. But we will stop inflation. We will make America affordable again. And we're going to bring back the American dream. We have all these young people. They're coming out of schools, colleges, everything else, and they're not going to have the American dream. They don't even think about the American dream. Right now, they just think about survival. And I just want to end by saying we have tremendous potential in this country. We can do amazing things, and we can do them fast. We have to get the criminals out. We have to get them out immediately and fast and tough. We're going to rely on our local police. Our local police law enforcement has been so incredible. And they know. Somebody said, how will you get them out? How will you know? The local police know the name and serial number and middle name and last name and where they come from of every single bad guy that's come into our country. And we're going to rely on local police, and we're going to make sure that they have immunity from prosecution, because, frankly, our police are treated horribly. They're not allowed to do their job. You know that better than anybody. They're not allowed to do their job. If they were allowed to do their job, we wouldn't have cities that have crime rates. You look at Chicago. On the 4th of July weekend in Chicago, think of this, 117 people were shot and 17 died. Afghanistan isn't anything like that. And speaking of Afghanistan, the single most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And yesterday I saw they gave $85 billion worth of brand new military equipment that I rebuilt the military, so this was equipment that to a large extent I bought, but brand new. And they had a parade yesterday, a beautiful parade. We were going to get out with dignity and strength. We were there for 21 years, and we were going to keep Bagram because it's 1 hour away. Bagram is this massive Air Force base that I visited. It's a massive base. Now, we're going to keep it because it's 1 hour, not because of Afghanistan, but because it's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. And they were showing it off yesterday, but the fact is that China now controls Bagram. China, can you imagine that? And we left. We were going to stay there. We were going to keep it. We were going to get out with dignity, strength. We were going to take our soldiers out last, not first. We took our soldiers out first. I dealt with Abdul, and he's still the leader. Strong man, smart man. But he understood that if he did anything, because we were losing a lot of people to the snipers, and under Obama, it was terrible, it was brutal. They'd be walking around and just get shot, and that was the end of them. Our people, and other people too, civilians. And I let him know that if you do that, we're going to hit you so hard, like you've never been hit before. But why, he said, do you send me a picture of my home? Why? Why do you send me a picture of my home? I said, you'll have to figure that one out later. But I said, we're going to have to hit you people so hard like we've never hit anybody. And he understood, and he said, yes, Your Excellency, I understand. He called me Your Excellency. I wonder if he calls that to Biden. I doubt it, right? But he understood that, and he respected us. And for 18 months, not one American...
Why, he said, do you send me a picture of my home? Why?
why do you send me a picture of my home? I said, you'll have to figure that one out later. But I said, we're going to have to hit you people so hard like we've never hit anybody. And he understood, and he said, yes, Your Excellency, I understand. He called me Your Excellency. I wonder if he calls that to Biden. I doubt it, right? But he understood that, and he respected us. And for 18 months, not one American soldier was killed. Not one. And then I left because of an election where I got millions of more votes than we did in 2016. We got millions of more, from 10 to 12 million votes more. Think of that. No president has ever gone with that kind of an election uptick. Usually a president will get less. President Obama got less, much less, his second time, but he won. But he got much less. We got 10 to 12 million votes more, and that's not including other votes that we could talk about at another day. But this is their votes, 10 to 12 million more. And we left, and that's when all the problems started. We didn't have these problems. We would have never had a problem with Abdul. We would have never had a problem with anybody, frankly. And I'd have to say, you're looking at things behind me, and they did a nice job. Wow, I haven't gotten to see. That's good. I don't like the tags very much. Look at that, up 46% eggs. Wow, up 65%. Wow, school lunch is up 65%. How can a family afford that? But look at this over here. What a nice job. I think I'm going to take some of them back to my cottage and have a lot of fun. Like the Cheerios. I haven't seen Cheerios in a long time. I'm going to take them back with me. Bacon is through the roof. They're all through the roof. The milk, everything is bad. And we're going to straighten it out. We're going to bring prices way down, and we'll get it done fast. And with her, it's just talk. She's a radical left San Francisco person who destroyed the place.
I changed the feed.
I don't know. It's hard to believe that she can even be in the discussion. They had a group of 12 people that she was considering, and they put her name in there, and they marked them, who were the best and who were the worst. And she was actually rated the worst of the 12. They had 12 plus her, 13 people, and they rated her the worst. Now, 6 weeks ago, she was considered to be a failed vice president and a failed administration, a disaster. And now all of these people are talking about her like she's Margaret Thatcher liberal version. She's not smart. I don't believe she loves our country. And we cannot have our country destroyed, because once that happens, it'll never be able to come back. Okay? If you'd like, we can ask a few questions.
It's been reported that you recently spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu, maybe as recently as yesterday. Can you clarify when the last time was you talked to him, and what advice, if any, you're giving him about a ceasefire, about ending the war?
The last time I saw him was at Mar-a-Lago, and he came with his wife and a large group of people. And we had a very good relationship with him and with Israel. Again, this would never have happened. October 7th would have never happened, would have never, ever happened. And he asked for the meeting. We had the meeting. It was about 2 hours, 2.5 hours long. And I expect I might be talking to him, but I haven't since then, no.
Did you encourage him not to take a ceasefire deal? Did you give him any advice about ending the war?
Him. He knows what he's doing. I did encourage him to get this over with. You want to get it over with. It has to get over with fast. But have victory, get your victory, and get it over with. It has to stop. The killing has to stop. Yes, please.
Mr. President.
Thank you, President Trump. You've spoken very passionately about how God saved your life. And I'm wondering, have you put much thought into why God saved your life? As in, for what purpose has he been shielding and protecting you?
So, I don't know if you heard the question. You've spoken about God saving your life. That I've spoken passionately about it. And something happened, because that was a miracle. I never looked that way. The audience was massive, and it was in front of me. I never have that particular graph. That was a graph on, as you all know now, that it's very, I think everyone knows it very well, but it showed the great numbers on illegal immigration. It was the lowest point we've ever had. And it was one that I use less than 20% of the time. It's always at the end of the speech, not at the beginning of the speech. And it's always on the left side, not the right side. And yet, for some reason, I called it. It's not on a teleprompter. I do things largely without a teleprompter, frankly, because it's hard to hold an audience if you're going to go for an hour and a half or 2 hours reading a script. And I just talked about it, and I moved to my right, turned sharply to my right, ping. And if I didn't do that, I'm not here with you. So, yeah, God has something to do with it. It's a miracle, and God had something to do with it. And maybe it's we want to save the world. This world is going down. This world is going down. So it could be. But I believe that. I believe that my sons are very good shooters. They're like scratch golfers, better, relatively speaking, with shooters, great shooters. And Eric and Don both told me from 130 yards. I said, well, that's pretty far away, isn't it? They said, no, that's like a 1-foot putt with, weapons like the one being used. Plus, he was a good shooter. This guy was a good shooter. He went to the range and shot a lot, and he was supposed to be a pretty good shooter. They said a bad shooter would hit the target almost 100% of the time. So something happened. And I have to say the Secret Service sniper did an amazing job. He had 5 seconds to find the target and hit the target, and he hit the target within, think of this, 5 seconds. And he was much further away because he was over here, and this other person was over there. So you have to give credit. And I have to also say about the Secret Service, when I was hit, I knew it because when I touched, there was blood pouring all over my hand. I said, I guess I know what that is. And I was going down for protection. And they were screaming, get down, get down. There was bullets. And those Secret Service guys were, and person, Kate, they were on top of me in a matter of, I think, 3 seconds. It was time dead. And bullets were coming out. I would hear the bullet. I didn't realize you could hear it, but now I know very well. Those bullets were going right over my head. They were there and very brave. There was nobody that said, I'm not going to be going there. They just, they were there very quickly, and they were very brave. There were mistakes made, obviously. He shouldn't have been up there. The roof should have been taken care of, and there were mistakes made. There's no question about it. But there was a lot of bravery also. We have to remember that. Okay, thank you very much.
Brian? Thank you. I'm going to talk about credit card debt for just a second. You've got all these items.
It's a record.
It's a record.
Credit card.
48% up. And many families going into debt just to pay for groceries.
Yeah.
What's your message to Americans right now that you can make America affordable again?
Well, I would say my message to them. So he said, credit card debt is at the all-time high. It's never been like this. What's your message to America? How are we going to solve that, and what will they do? You know what I think they should do? They should, on November 5th or sooner, if it's early voting, which largely it is, which is ridiculous. We should have one-day voting, paper ballots. We should have voter ID, and we should have proof of citizenship, because people are voting and people are going on now without citizenship. But we should do it, and maybe we'll be able to get that done too. It's one of the things I want to do. But my message to them would be very simple: vote for Trump, and we're going to fix the problem. We're going to get it fixed. We'll get it fixed.
Follow-up question,
yes,
if I could. Kamala's been promising on day one, I'll do this. And for basically 4 years, she's promised this day one.
Yeah.
What will you do on day one to turn this country around?
Good question.
So she is saying when she gets in, she's in now. And especially with Biden, because, I mean, he's not in the best of shape. But you know what? She's in there now. She can do anything she wants. And she's still saying, if you elect me, I'll do this, I'll do... Why didn't she do it? Here's my one question. It's the easiest question. Because she complains about everything. Why didn't she do it? That's all I ask. On day one, we're going to drill, baby, drill, and we're going to close the border, and we're going to let people come in, but they're going to come in legally. They're going to come into our country legally. But on day one, we're going to do many things. I can do a lot of things at one time. But the question's often is, what's the first thing you're going to do? I would say we have a tie. We're going to close the border. We're going to stop the millions of people coming in, and we're going to take all of the criminals that have come in, and we know every one of them. I know. And the local police know better than anybody else. They're going to work with us. I've spoken to a lot of the sheriffs, every police, virtually every law enforcement group in America has endorsed Trump. I don't think anybody's endorsed Kamala. Not one. I don't think anybody's endorsed them. And you know that better than anybody. In Florida, all over California, they've endorsed me. We have the relationship I have with law enforcement. And these are great people, and people that we have to really cherish and respect and let them do their job and protect them. And you'll always have a bad apple in everything. You have bad apples as reporters. That I can tell you many. I'd say about 80%. But you're always going to have bad apples. But you have very, very few when you look at it. Very, very few. You have to let them do their job. You have to protect them. But basically, we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get the energy prices down almost immediately. And we're going to close the border. And we're going to get the crooked ones out, the bad ones out. And we're going to let a lot of people come in because we need more people, especially with AI coming and all of the different things. And the farmers need, everybody needs. But we're going to make sure that they're not murderers, killers, drug dealers, and the kind of people that we have largely coming in right now. Okay?
Mr. President, many of your allies who want you to win in November say your current strategy isn't working, that you need to stop with the personal attacks on Kamala Harris and deliver a more disciplined message. Do you agree? And also, you added more people to your campaign today. Yeah. Is that a sign of a shifting strategy? No,
I think it's a sign of we want to close it out. We have great people. Susie is fantastic, as you know, and Chris is fantastic. They're leading it. Corey Lewandowski's coming in. He'll be, personal envoy, or he'll be at some level. They're going to be, they're doing a great job. Look, we've taken, with all of the abuse we've taken from the fake news media, all of this horrific abuse we take, and all I want to do is make the country good. All I want to do is have strong borders and good education. We want to have choice for education. So important, so many different things. You would think it would be the other way. We rebuilt the military. We did so many great things. But that's the way it's been for Republicans, and I guess more so for me than anybody in history, and that's okay. Because we're leading in the polls. For the most part, we're leading in the polls. We were leading Biden by a lot. We're leading now, but I think when she's exposed, I think we're going to beat her by a lot more than we would have beaten Biden by, because he had a little group of people that have been voting for him for a long time. She doesn't have that. People don't know who she is. As far as the personal attacks, because of what she's done to the country, I'm very angry at her that she'd weaponized the justice system against me and other people. Very angry at her. I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence, and I think she'll be a terrible president. And I think it's very important that we win. And whether the personal attacks are good, bad, I mean, she certainly attacks me personally. She actually called me weird. He's weird. It was just a soundbite. And she called J.D. and I weird. He's not weird. He was a great student at Yale. He went to Ohio State, graduated in 2 years, at the top of his class. And all of these different things. And we have this guy that's running a very failed state, who's had a terrible career. I mean, you have him saying they're weird. No, he's a weird guy. And she's weird in her policy. Who wouldn't want to have strong borders? Who doesn't want to have lower taxes? All my life I've watched as politicians campaigned, and I've always been on, for the most part, on the other side, on the side that these people are on. And they always talked about, we're going to reduce taxes. This is the only campaign I've ever heard where they're saying, we're going to increase your taxes. And then people say they're going to vote for him? I don't know. So I don't think so. I don't think people know who she is yet. When people, because really people didn't know. You can ask the man on the street. I saw it on one of the shows today. They asked the man on the street, what's the last name of Kamala? Nobody knew. It's Harris. Nobody knew the last name. I don't even use it because nobody knows who I'm talking about. People don't know who she is. She's a radical left socialist. But beyond that, I mean, she's way beyond socialism, who's going to destroy our country. And when they find out, I think you're going to see something. But right now, even not knowing her, and with all of like the cover of Time magazine, they didn't put a picture. They got a great artist to do it. What was that all about? What was that all about? The whole thing is crazy. I just want to win for the country. Some people say, oh, why don't you be nice? But they're not nice to me. They want to put me in prison, just so you understand.
Exactly.
They tell me I should be nice. They want to put me in prison. It's never happened before in the history of our country. I did nothing wrong. I have crooked judges. I have crooked prosecutors. And they're all Democrats, all Democrat areas, other than in Florida, where you had a brilliant judge who ruled in my favor. I won the case, the documents case, won it in its entirety. And Jack Smith, deranged Jack Smith, suffered a defeat. But in New York City, everything's clubhouse, everything. I know it very well. I grew up there. I know it very well. And we have a very crooked system. And it's one of the reasons that New York is dying. Nobody wants to come in. No companies want to come in because the courtroom system is so corrupt, both at a federal level and at a state level and a city level. And they put you into an area where you have 3% Republican vote. It's all a rigged deal, just like Fani, F-A-N-I, Fani, with her boyfriend. And I think that's been discredited, too. They've been discredited. But think of it. They don't want me to be a little bit nasty. They want to put me in prison. Me. They want to put. It's never happened before in the history of our country. It's happened in third world countries, but it's never happened here. And they're in danger because you create a precedent for doing that. And once that happens, that's a really bad thing. You know, in the years before, and I've said this a few times, not too much, but with Hillary, she was subpoenaed by Congress to give everything she's got, and she burned it, she acid washed it, bleach bit they call it, she totally scrubbed it, and then they broke everything with hammers, with fire, they burned it, and then she said, I don't have anything. Well, it turned out that she had a lot to give. And everybody said, lock her up, lock her up. And I used to go, easy, just easy, easy. Then we won. And I said, wouldn't it be terrible? And you know, I lose. Some people are upset when I did this, but you have to look at it maybe differently now. I say, wouldn't it be terrible to put the wife of the president, former president of the United States, into a prison? Now think of that. Hillary Clinton, she was Secretary of State. She was the wife of a president of the United States who used to be a friend of mine before I ran for politics. He was a friend of mine. He used to play my golf course all the time. I have a great golf course right next to their home in Westchester. He used to be there all the time. It was his favorite course. But you know what? I could have done that very easily. She was so guilty. And I said to my people, wouldn't it be terrible to put, I don't know, wouldn't it be terrible to take, and we won the election, wouldn't it be terrible to take a former Secretary of State who was the wife of the President of the United States and put her into a prison? But that's what they want to do with me, and I did nothing wrong. It's all crooked politics and really crooked judges. You know I have a gag order. Do you know I can't even talk about it right now? Do you know that I have a judge who has a gag order? He doesn't want me to talk, and the reason he doesn't want me to talk is because what I say is so devastating and so horrible for him. But think of it, I have a gag order. There's never been a politician in history, I mean, probably for any politician for a city council office. I'm the leading candidate to be president. I won virtually unanimously, I beat everybody. It was the quickest primary in history. There's never been one that was done so early. I had people that were very talented people, and I beat them by 45, 50, 60, 70, 80 points. There was never a close race. Nobody was even close. Good talent. They weren't close. And I'm running against the Democrats. So it's a two-party system, whether we like it or not. Republican, I'm the Republican, and I'm leading. But let's say I'm tied, but I'm leading. I believe I'm leading by a lot more than people think. And I believe we'll be leading by a lot more. And I have a judge who put a gag order on me. So when you ask me a question, or when you ask me a question, I can't give you an answer, because if I give the answer, they want to put you in jail. He said, we'll put him in jail if he talks beyond the gag order. And this is in a state where, unfortunately, the laws have been very bad, and they haven't been upheld by the appellate divisions generally. Although I have one case where we judge, a certain judge, I won't use names, but the Attorney General case where we won 5 appeals on the same case, the most ever trial. It was a ridiculous, horrible decision where you have a very, very biased voting population and a judge whose hatred of Donald Trump was beyond belief. And we won the case, but he ruled a ridiculous amount of money, civil case. Ruled ridiculous. Now, this is what they're doing is interference with an election. They want to interfere. Look at the one thing they want to sentence right before the election takes place. Let's sentence him. Because who's going to vote for him if we sentence him? Let's sentence him right before. No. This is interference with a presidential election at a state level, and it's a state that always goes Democrat. It's interference, and as you know, the Supreme Court ruled recently on immunity, and I'm immune from all of this stuff that they charge me with. But isn't it a terrible thing? And yet Hillary Clinton, when it came time to make a decision, I said, I don't want to put the wife of the President of the United States in prison. I want the country to come together and to be unified. And here it is a few years later, and these people say, let's put him, why? Because I challenge an election? Because I want to challenge an election? Or some other reason? It's a really disgraceful thing. It's a shame. And it's a very dangerous thing for both parties, because once they start that ball rolling, once they started rolling, that's a nasty ball. Yes, please. Please.
Two quick questions here. Nikki Haley told our Brett Baier that Republicans need to stop whining about Kamala Harris, focus on courting those independents, those suburban women, the moderates out there. What do you think of that strategy, and would you consider having Nikki Haley on the campaign trail with you?
Sure. I think that we've done very well. I think that we're hitting a nerve. I think this is a different kind of a race. All we have to do is define our opponent as being a communist or a socialist or somebody that's going to destroy our country. I fought Nikki very hard. I beat her in her own state by legendary numbers. And I get along with her fine. I appreciate that she endorsed me and all of that. No, I think that I think relatively to what they're doing and how radical they are and how in many ways how sick they are, I think I'm doing a very calm campaign. I mean, we're here. There's no shouting. Now, you'll say he ranted and raved. And not you, but some of you will say he ranted and raved. I didn't rant and rave. I'm a very calm person, believe it or not. If I wasn't, I probably wouldn't be around anymore, Probably wouldn't be around. But no, I think I appreciate her advice. I have to do it my way. I ran against her, and I did it my way. People said I should maybe do it a different way, but I won in South Carolina by numbers that nobody's ever seen before. It wasn't even close. And I think she's a good woman. I'd love to have her support. Yeah, she gave me support, but I'd love to have her go around and campaign.
Quick follow-up on the economy. You mentioned this in your remarks. Vice President Kamala Harris wants to put a ban on price gouging. Do you think that the federal government should be responsible for determining food prices?
Well, not only responsible, they probably can't do it legally, and that will drive up prices. She wants no fracking. Now, she may go and change that. I think she's already changed it. But she wants to have no fracking. I want no fracking. But for her whole life, she said that. No fracking. Then about, I don't know when, a couple of months ago, all of a sudden when she started looking at polls, remember this, she all of a sudden says fracking. I don't think I won Pennsylvania, and I did much better the second time. I won it in 2016, did much better the second time. I know Pennsylvania very well. I don't think there's any way in hell that somebody that's intelligent living in Pennsylvania is going to vote for somebody that basically will eventually end fracking, end fossil fuel. So whether it's Oklahoma or Texas or Pennsylvania, a big energy state, people don't realize that 350,000 people work in that industry. But maybe more importantly, they don't want to pay $9 a gallon for gasoline. So, no, I think that she's made statements. I don't know how you get out of it. I don't know how you can say for 10 years there'll be no fracking. I mean, we have tapes of her laughing at the stupidity of the question. Of course I'm not going to allow fracking. And then all of a sudden, a few months ago, she comes out in favor of, oh, yes, I'd allow fracking. I don't think anybody in Pennsylvania will be, I think she's going to do very badly in Pennsylvania. You have to frack. We need the energy, and Pennsylvania needs the jobs, but Pennsylvania needs the energy also. That energy is going to support our new system for AI and all of the other modern things that need massive amounts of electricity and energy, massive. So it's a very good question, actually, but we have to unify as a country. We have to come together, and I think we can. I get that question oftentimes, and I used to think maybe there's no way because, some people want a border, some people don't want a border. Most people do want a border. But there's such a difference in people. But just before COVID coming out, so 3 years, we went a long period of time, and we had an economy going the likes of which no country had ever seen before. I think you would agree. There's never been anything like it. And people were coming together. People were calling me I would call them radical left, but I would say very liberal people, very progressive people. They came to me. We would like to get together. In fact, we worked out criminal justice reform. I was the only one that could have done that. I won criminal justice reform, and I got that for black leaders that came to see me. Criminal justice reform. Obama couldn't do it. Biden wouldn't even try. But nobody could do it. I got that done. And I got conservative votes to get it done. They needed at least 5 very conservative votes. It was very hard to do. I got that done. Our country was coming together. And, you know, I can tell you the story of criminal justice reform. When you do that, that means that's a big step. But I was seeing people that were not seeable, that I wouldn't want to see them and they wouldn't want to see me. And all of a sudden, I was having lunch with people that, if I told you who they were, you wouldn't even believe it. Our country was coming together. Success was bringing our country together. And it can be done. Success will bring our country together again. It can be done. It was an amazing phenomenon. And I used to say, I don't know, it's awfully tough to get it together. I've never seen anything like it. Like, for instance, me getting criminal justice reform done. And I did that with Democrats and some very conservative Republicans who said it's very unfair where people are staying in jail for 35, 40 years. And today they wouldn't even be charged with a crime for what they did. And we got it done, and I was very proud of it. But our country was coming together. The black population had the best numbers they've ever had on jobs, on income, on everything. The Hispanic population had the best numbers. Asian population, men, women, young people with diplomas from the best schools, Harvard, MIT, the Wharton School of Finance. They're all coming together, and everybody was happy. And young people without a high school diploma. The best MIT students and people without a diploma were all working. They were making more money than they've ever made. There wasn't one group that wasn't doing better than it was the year before, 2 years before, or 10 years before. It was the best our country had ever done, and we were leapfrogging China. China didn't have a chance. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from China. Hundreds of billions of dollars. No president ever took in 10 cents. And what happened was an amazing thing. We had a great, successful country, and our country was unifying. It was the first time anyone's seen it, but our country was unifying.
From some of the polling out there, I know you're saying that you're leading in some polling, but there is other polling out there. A Fox News poll out just yesterday has you up by just 1 point. How do you break away?
1 or 2 points, yeah. And Fox News has always been my worst poll, believe it or not. And even Fox News had me up by 1 or 2 points yesterday. Came out, I think, 2 points, 1 point. I also think, I tend to poll low. In some cases, really low. In 2016, I was polling low because people didn't want to say who they're voting for. I don't know if that's supposed to be a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is. And we did very well in 2016, and we did much better in 2020, much better, but bad things happened. Through COVID, very bad things happened. So we're not happy about that. Yes, I've seen you around a little bit, so go ahead, please.
Mr. President, thank you for doing
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So you talked about how COVID from China was a fence too far. What's your plan for holding China accountable if you get reelected?
Well, I want to get along with China. I had a great relationship with President Xi. We made a fantastic trade deal, $50 billion of farm products and manufacturing products they had to buy here, and they were adhering to it. They don't adhere to it anymore because they don't respect Harris or Biden. But as you know, we signed a trade deal with China, and it was actually better than even the USMCA. It was a great trade deal. China had to buy $50 billion, not $15 billion, not anything else, $50 billion. And it was a great trade deal. I think that's one of the underrated things. I think we'll have a great relationship with China. I hope we're going to have a great relationship. But it's got to be a fair relationship. China was taking advantage of the country for years, but so was every other country, in all fairness to China. Every single country was taking advantage of the United States. I can't think of one country where we were doing better than them. Japan was taking, Abe was my dear friend, one of the great men, great leader. But all of these countries were, I used to say, who signs these agreements? It's amazing that we economically survived because we had such bad negotiators or people were getting paid off. I actually looked at some deals. I'd say nobody could be so stupid to sign a deal that's so one-sided. Whoever made this deal has been paid off. And then I'd look into it a little bit, and all of a sudden he's working as an agent for that country 3 years later, 5 years later. Now, we changed a lot of those deals. South Korea, we changed the South Korea deal. We made it from a horrible deal to a good deal. I changed the Japan deal. But I made a great deal with China. They had to buy $50 billion worth. They never bought anything like that. In fact, it was a misunderstanding. When I said the people were negotiating, what number are we talking about? They said 15. I thought they said 50. So when they came back to me, they said, sir, we're all set to get it going. I said, good, what's the number? 15. I said, you told me 50. Why are we going down to 15? They said, no, we said 15. I said, you told me 50. Actually, I heard them wrong. They said 15, but I heard them wrong. So I said, go back and get 50. And we got 50 instead of 15. And it was great. You know, I really think that we can have a great relationship with China. We can have a great relationship with a lot of countries that right now. One of the things with China, I know as much as any country, but all of the countries, the one thing is they have to respect you. If they don't respect you, and you know, I was very tough in countries like Japan, and yet Abe, who was a great man, assassinated, horribly assassinated. He was a great man. He was a great leader. But I believe, and I was very tough on him. I was very tough on Russia. Russia, I was probably the toughest. I ended Nord Stream 2. I ended the biggest deal they've ever done, the biggest pipeline in the world, the biggest. All of Europe was going to be supplied by Russia. And I ended the deal. It was dead. And then Biden comes in and approves it. And they say, oh, I was nice to Russia. No, Putin actually said to me one time, you know, if you're supposed to be, like, friendly with me, I would hate like hell for you to be angry at me because you are brutal. Think of it. Not only that, the sanctions, but forget the sanctions. I ended Nord Stream 2. The pipeline was dead. And then Biden comes in, and he got $3.5 million, in all fairness, from the mayor of Moscow's wife. Remember that? During the debate, we brought it up, and Chris Wallace, who's not the father, he is not, there is no resemblance between him and Mike Wallace, that I can tell you. He said, you shouldn't be talking about that. I said, why not? They got the family, $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife. Why wouldn't I talk about that? He wouldn't let me talk. I said, I'm negotiating against two people, not one. I turned out to be right because a year later, that was a big scandal. Why did he get $3.5 million? But Biden approved immediately the pipeline in Russia, Nord Stream, and he killed the Keystone XL pipeline, 48,000 jobs. He killed it. He did the exact opposite of what he should have done. Yes, please. I know you had your hand up. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for taking my question. You referenced your conversation with Elon Musk earlier this week. I want to ask you about that. You praise how he treats workers, saying they go on strike, and you say that's okay, you're all gone, so every one of you is gone. Are you really comfortable with companies threatening to fire workers who go on strike?
Well, I want companies to get workers that are going to love them and work for a wage that lets the company make a profit so they can go and expand. In that case, they moved, as you know, the company from California, Elon, from California to Texas because they were able to get things that California wouldn't give. And I did ask him one question. You're moving a very big company out of California that's been there for years into Texas. Did the governor ever call you and say, like, let's work it out because we don't want to lose you? And he said he never called. Governor Newsom, he never called. And you would have thought, if I were governor of California and if Elon or anybody else, they have oil companies leaving, I would be calling. But no, Elon wants to run an efficient company, and if he has to he got rid of a lot of people on X or former Twitter. A lot of people gone, and it still works. It still works. So you got to run the company productively, and there are going to be a lot of jobs around. I want it so that a person doesn't get lucky and find a job. I want a person that can look for 10 jobs and all 10 companies want them, and you negotiate much more than you'd get by doing what you just suggested. So, he's a strong man. He's a strong guy. He's a brilliant guy. And he wants to get the best he can, and he wants to get the best workers. He pays a lot of money to a lot of his workers. It's, to a certain extent, supply and demand. But ultimately, that's what's going to lead to a great country. So,
to follow up on that really quickly, because some people took at that as you saying that you would be comfortable with companies threatening to fire workers. Sean O'Brien, who spoke at the Republican National Convention, saying that firing workers who are wanting to organize or striking is economic terrorism. So just to be clear, that's something that you are
well,
not
that's not,
with?
yeah, they weren't organizing against Elon. He let them go because he was having a lot of problems in California. They were making it impossible for him. In California, what they were doing with the taxes and everything were making it impossible for him. And Sean O'Brien's a great guy from the Teamsters you're talking. Yeah, Sean is great. I think Sean would understand it better than anybody. Don't forget, the unions are really threatened by what's coming in, by these millions and millions of people coming in. Sean O'Brien understands that. The black population is absolutely threatened. The Hispanic population is absolutely threatened. Because these people are coming in, they're going to take their jobs. They're going to make it very, very hard. What's happened in our country is very dangerous, very bad thing.
Because Governor Tim Walz is out on the campaign trail today, and he's been saying that he believes that you want things to get worse so that you can campaign on it, that you're rooting for failure. What's your response to that?
I wish I didn't have to do this. If our country were run by Democrats and it was run beautifully, where we were really being productive and everything else, I would have never done this. I wouldn't have done it if I thought I couldn't have won. I think I can win. I think I can win easily. Once they're exposed for what they are, which is, radical left lunatics, and that's what they are. They're going to ruin. She's going to ruin our country. Going to ruin our country. And I just hope the people of our country, and I believe they are because I see it already happening, but I hope they are able to think for themselves, because if they think for themselves, if they look at the destruction that's going to be caused by Kamala and this person from out of nowhere, he came out of nowhere, a state that I love that state, but a state that's doing so poorly, where he's the one that signed in tampons in boys' bathrooms. He signed a bill that boys' bathrooms, all boys' bathrooms in Minnesota will have tampons. And what's going on? What's wrong with us? So no, I would, if we had somebody doing a phenomenal job, I would be extremely happy. What I want to do is I want to see, even the last few months, I hope the country does really well, even though it would make it probably a little bit harder to win. I hope the country does really well. It's country first. I want our country to do great. If they were great leaders, I would be the first to say they're doing a fantastic job. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So early on in this race.
What?
Do you regret debating President Biden so early on in the race?
Do I regret debating Biden? So it was his request. He said we should get the debates on early, and I was willing. Don't forget, I got CNN. I got Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. They're not Trump people. They wanted to have a debate where their mics are turned off when the other person's answering the question. They gave me every single thing that I couldn't approve, and I said, yeah, I'll do it. So they got the debate on their terms. They got the network that they dreamt of. But that was really his decision. I had to decide whether or not I felt I wanted to debate him. And I think they didn't want to debate, but I agreed to every single thing. It was a debate where they said, we'll give him something that it'll be impossible for him to accept, and I accepted all the terms, other than when they had us sitting down at a desk, and I said, I think that makes us look bad. I don't want to sit down. Let's stand up. And they agreed to that. Other than that, we gave them CNN, we gave them Dana, and we gave them Jake. And by the way, I have to say, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash were unbelievably straight and honest, and I give them a lot of credit for that. A lot of people were saying you couldn't have a fair debate. I think we have that with ABC. I have some people at ABC that don't like me too much. I find it to be about the worst. George Slobodanopoulos. I have a lot of people at ABC that I find it to be actually the most unfair of all the networks, and they want to do it on ABC. Whatever, I don't mind. The question that you're asking, though, about whether or not the debate should have happened would have been a better question to ask of Joe Biden, because had he not done the debate, he would still be running for president, and people would be hiding him. Just like they're hiding her right now. You know they're hiding her no different than him, because I believe she's grossly incompetent, and I don't think that when people hear what she has to say, they're going to buy it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, so let me see if he turns back. He's not turning back for any other questions. He's looking at the food.
More than an hour on a script he largely stuck to, and then took a number of questions from.
All right, so they've gone to analysis. So anyway, after all of the technical difficulties, and I couldn't get anything that had a clear signal until I switched, as you heard, to Fox News on a second computer. I had to basically stop what I was doing on this computer, and I had to go to my laptop and have my laptop feed into this computer, because all of the feeds that were pulling in just weren't working. And then finally Fox News did work, which is okay. I apologize if you had a problem with that, but it is what it is when you do these live streams. I can't control, and I have to be very, very careful. You guys don't know all of the different ramifications that you can have doing things with YouTube, and how YouTube complains and can turn your stuff off if they don't like exactly how you're doing things. So understand that there's a lot of different things. I've known people who have had huge streams going, monstrous streams, and then all of a sudden, poof, gone, just gone, thin air, turned off. And so you have to work within the parameters of where we are. Second thing, I'm just going to address this once, just seriously, just one time. I see sometimes people say, hey, listen, there's all these ads in a live stream. What are you doing? I don't charge you. There's no admission. It's free. I don't have a membership. I don't believe in having memberships to see content. So if you're running a business, YouTube places ads on things. If you don't like the ads, then maybe a network station might be better for you, because that's how the business runs. I didn't create the business. I just do this stuff under the laws that they do, rules and regulations and everything. That being said, I got 1, 2, 3 things here that I want to discuss real quick here at the end of this that Trump brought up. First thing I want to bring up, because I see it a lot in the comments, when people say, stop addressing the past, he needs to look forward. I have a huge problem with that, because the past is what you need to look at. Kamala's people don't want you looking in the past. Kamala's people are the ones, don't look back. We're not going back. They're the ones who are saying that. I want you to go back. I want you to remember. I want you to remember July 13th when this man was shot. Nobody else is covering it. They've completely just memory hold it. They don't want it to make a part of their programming. Do you remember July 13th? Don't forget it. I want to remember paying $1.85 a gallon for gas. Of course I want people to remember. Why would you not want to remember, hey, yeah, I used to pay $1.85 for gas? I want to know that mortgage rates were in the 2s and the 3s. Yes, I want to remember that. Why would you not want to remember that? I have often wondered, are they trolls? Are they rhinos? Are they straight up Kamala people who say, don't worry about the past? No, you have to worry about the past. Stop with that way of thinking. If you're a Trump supporter and you don't want to remember and talk about the past, you're not really a Trump supporter. Because the past is what we want, i.e., make America great again. Make America great again. There would be no again if we weren't talking about the past. Do you not understand that? We have to embrace what this man did for his 4 years of the presidency, because that's what we want. At least I do. I want to, be able to buy more investment property at a lower interest rate. Want to do that all day. Want to pay $1.89, $1.85 for gas. My wife obviously wants cheaper grocery prices. Definitely don't want all these newcomers. So of course, we have to remember the past. If you don't want to remember the past, go vote for Kamala, because that is what we want. We want to contrast records. She says she has accomplishments. What are they? Tell us what these accomplishments you've had since you've been in office so we can compare them. Because all of us remember the past and what we paid for gas and all the other thing I just said. So how can you comfortably think about ignoring the past given where we are today? It doesn't make any sense to me. It tells me you're not really understanding what's at stake in this election. Oh, well, don't go backwards. Yes, go backwards. Go backwards. Hey, okay, next thing was, aren't you going to be a nice guy? Let me just tell you what nice guy has happened. You've sued him all over the country. Not even the ones you hear about. There's even more. You've tried to take his businesses. You've tried to take his property. You've tried to put him in jail. You've put his friends in jail. You've endangered his sons. You've endangered his wife. You took a shot at him. I think he's got some righteous anger. I think he can say, I need to come after you. He's taken punch after punch after punch. Literally got shot. And you people, not all of you, you got some people going, hey, he needs to move on from the attacks. Bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it, call it as it is. Bull flipping shit. If you attack me and you continue to attack me, what are you telling me? You're telling me I should lay down? You're telling Trump after everything he went through, he should lay down, lay off the attacks? Where was that? Let me just see this thing. Okay. Some of you who might have been late here, this is the press release that Kamala Harris put out today. In this press release, Trump will hold another public meltdown. Intends to deliver a self-obsessed rant full of his own personal grievances to distract from his toxic Project 2025 agenda, which doesn't exist. Unpopular running mate, increasing detachment from the reality of voters. The remarks will not be artificial intelligence, but they will certainly lack intelligence. And you want him to just say, it's okay. You don't have to attack her. And all they do is attack him. I am tired. And I've had to actually go talk to my pastor. I am sick of people who say, take the high ground. Turn the other cheek. How many times does he have to do that? How many times do we have to do that? How many times do we have to turn the other cheek? Pull out your wallet and just count up how many times you've had to look the other way in the last 4 years. Every time you go to the grocery store, every single time you go to the gas tank, every time something happens in this country because some newcomer did something stupid, beat up cops in New York City. Did you just look the other way because it didn't have nothing to do with you? Is that what you're saying? If that's what you're saying, hey, those people up in New York, yeah, I understand what they did. Did you see what they did last night to Kamala? Wake up. This isn't back to Leave It to Beaver time. This isn't going to work anymore. You are in a war whether or not you understand that you are. You are in a fight for your life even though you don't realize it or don't feel like you're in a fight for your life. Every aspect of American life right now is under attack, and you're foolish if you don't accept that you're in it. You can't look away. You can't forget the past. You can't play nice with these people. What if it was your kid that this drag queen just decided to come in and wag their stuff in front of? What if you go home tonight, or if you're not home yet, and you find out that little Johnny is now little Josephine because his teacher told him you didn't have to ask dad and mom to have the operation. They're fighting you and you don't even know it. Oh, we just be nicer. How nice would you be if an illegal newcomer climbed in the window of little Jesse's room tonight? Because it's happening. It's happening to people who you consider fellow Americans. So stop telling me. Don't go watch somebody else if you think he shouldn't be responding to the personal attacks because they're attacking you. And you're being just deceitful if you don't think they want to end your way of life. Makes me sick. I mean, it really makes me sick that men, and some of the men that were saying that, oh, you shouldn't, maybe shouldn't do the personal attacks. Screw that. Every personal attack that he's taking, you should take it as though it's happening to you, because it will. Don't think for an instant, if she gets in, that the things he's going through aren't going to make their way down to your neck of the woods. They will. How do I know this? I'm watching it unfold in other countries. I'm watching elections being stolen in Venezuela and people can't do anything. I'm watching millions of people in the streets in Spain saying, we don't want this. I'm watching things happen in the UK where people are just, guys are just walking up to people in a restaurant and beating them. I'm watching people being put in jail for putting up a meme. Don't tell me we're not in a fight. It just hasn't arrived on your doorstep yet. And obviously, from what some of these people are saying about being nice, when it comes to your doorstep, you're toast. God bless your family. Because you are not going to be able to stand up to these people. So until you realize you need to get out there and protect your family like their lives depend on it, because obviously your life doesn't give a shit to you. You need to be able to protect your family. And if you don't know, go look around the world and see what's happening. Just flip to something that's going on in the UK and see what they're doing. I'm really passionate about this because I love my wife. I love my daughter. I love my grandkids. And there's nothing I want more than to see them prosper and be safe in life. And so when I see people say, don't respond to personal attacks, it just pisses me off, because at that point, what you're saying is I could come into your house, kick in your front door, spit in your face, and go have my way with your wife and kids. But Barry, that sounds, oh my God, don't say something that tough. Well, you're saying it because you're telling me you won't stand up. You won't stand up to a fight. Now you're going to be a big man, aren't you? Now you're going to say, wait, hey, Barry, don't insult me like that. Well, that's what they're doing to Trump. That's all I'm trying to get you to understand. This man has had it. There's a breaking point for every single one of us. Every single one of us gets to a point where we go, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Life means too much to me. My country means too much to me than to just sit back and let people take punches. That felt good. That felt really good. I mean, I know it really bothers people, but I played football. And I've had coaches grab me by the helmet and say, "What are you doing out there? You're bigger than this guy. You're stronger. You're faster. Beat the shit out of him. Don't let him get to you that way. Don't come back to the sideline frustrated. Get out there and bury his face in the dirt. If you don't do it now, on November 5th, you are not going to have the chance to do it." I got to get out of here because I've got 45 minutes to get ready for the 7 o'clock show, and the sound's going to be fine because it's just me talking. I've got some clips. But at 7 o'clock, I'm going to show you why it is go time. I'm going to show you exactly why you need to understand they're about to take your country from you, and this guy is the only thing there to stop them. It's that friggin' bad. And if you didn't see it coming, it's here now. So join me at 7. I don't mean to offend anybody. I just don't like people who aren't ready to fight. And right now, we're in a fighting position. We have to fight. If you don't recognize that, do yourself a favor. Get on the internet and go look at what's going on in the UK. Look at what's going on in Venezuela. You notice they don't talk about it anymore. Think to yourself, why do they not talk about what's happening in Venezuela? Because they know it's coming here. And they don't want you to see. But when it comes time, if she does what she is planning on doing and your family can't eat, that's on you.